Hey, Taylor Elwood here, and it's been a little while since I've done one of these videos, kind of been busy with work. But I thought today I would talk a little bit about some random thoughts I've been having about magic, media, and psychology. Really what I've been thinking about, and this will seem this will seem a little odd because, I've written stuff on pop culture magic, but hey, I'm allowed to contradict myself at times. Really what I've been thinking about is where to draw the line when it comes to media and psychology and the integration into magic. And the reason for that is because I do see a lot of what I consider to be the psychologization of magic. Where people try to talk about magic as being all in your head and try to make it all about archetypes and other psychological theories and really, in my opinion, dilute it. Where does media fit into that role? Well, I think media plays its own role in that kind of dilution as well, because sometimes what I see are people who take an approach to magic where it's more about branding than anything else, or it's an approach to magic that's solely based on using media. And the dangers that I see here is that when you turn magic into something that is overly psychological or overly media oriented, I think that you end up missing out on fundamental aspects of magic that are really important to making magic what it is. In fact, at that point, I don't even know if you're necessarily practicing magic so much as you're just playing head games with yourself. I've never found the psychologization of magic to be all that helpful because when it's all in your head, there's no real reality to it. It's just something in your head. You're just playing around with it. You're not really turning it into something that speaks to you or through you. And I think the same criticism can apply to media. That if you rely upon media too much in your approach to magic, it becomes something that's less about you and more about the manipulation of that media. Now, some of you will say, but Taylor, you've written about pop culture magic. Isn't that the use of media? And yes, there is some aspects of media that come into play with the use of pop culture magic. I mean, I've used comic book panels, for example, for magical workings. I've done stuff with different forms of technology and integrated those in. So I fair enough. I'm pointing a finger and some are pointing back at me. But I think that even with that, my use of magic in media has always been designed more toward how to make magic integrate into modern technology and make modern technology a part of magical work, as opposed to making the modern technology the only medium through which magic is done. At the end of the day, when I look at my own magical approach and the way that I approach things, it's really about experiential embodiment, about embodying the magic in your body, through your identity as well. Now, media and psychology can play roles in your identity. I mean, a good example would even be this Facebook video right now. I'm doing this video. I'm certainly playing with concepts of identity as a result. I'm talking about magic. If I were to do a magical working in this, I'd certainly be using the media as a way to spread that information. So again, it has its role. But when we get away from the body, when we get away from making magic a part of ourselves, and instead we just strictly embody it in a form of psychology or a form of media, then what we're missing out on is that essential experience that speaks through us and allows us to take on the mysteries of magic and use them to go into our lives and transform our lives. And this is why, in my opinion, when we're focused too much on the psychologization of magic or the media of magic, that what we're really missing out on is that key word of transformation. I mean, magic is supposed to transform our lives. It's supposed to be a transformative experience. Well, it can't be a transformative experience when we remove ourselves from it, when we distance ourselves from it to the point that it becomes just some abstract concept that we're talking about or playing with, but not really experiencing. And so And so I suppose it's fair to say that I use the word experience in a very nuanced way in this case, because what I'm really talking about is making it into something that you actually feel, as opposed to just something that you think about or that you abstractly work with. Again, I'm not going to say that there isn't some value to different things. I mean, when I do a magical painting, for example, that's a form of media right there. That media becomes its own. That experience of painting, of painting the painting and turning it into an artifact of magic, is a form of experience. So there are aspects to this where I would say, we can take it and make it experiential. The key thing, though, is that we do make it experiential. And the way that I see where people don't make it experiential is when they take something and they're just kind of like, well, I'm just going to put this meme out there, for example, but I'm not going to really put a lot of thought into it and how that meme can be used as a transformative experience. Oh, here's a meme, I'm doing some magic. Well, are you really doing magic? What does that really mean to do meme magic? Where's the experiential aspect to it? Are you just pushing something else on that somebody else has put together? And at that point, really, what are you really doing? Is it really magic at that point, or is it just sharing? This is why I think it's important to be very clear about our definitions of magic and our definitions of what magic is and how we experience magic and what it means to practice magic. So, I think about this and I think, well, this is why my own approach to magic continually is transforming. It's why I don't stick with one particular type of magic for so long that I forget to really go out there and experience other things. So, I mean, as an example, I've done a lot of work on pop culture magic in the last few years. Well, now most of my work is actually going out there and being directed toward the psychology of the psychology. It's actually being driven toward more of the bodily experience of magic, working with the body, integrating the things that I'm doing into an experience that works through the body, using the body as a magical tool, and at the same time interacting with the body as its own distinct universe. And doing all of that, it just kind of makes me look at some of the approaches to magic that are sometimes put out there, and I see lots of abstract arguing or conversations, but little in the way of real genuine work, or people getting caught up in the bling of magic but not really focusing in on the actual work that speaks through and to and you and allows you to participate in the universe around you. Millie, this is a bit of a rambling video, and I just figured, hey, I'd share some thoughts on this. But what are your thoughts? What do you think about what I'm talking about? How do you integrate experience into your magic? What do you do to avoid turning it into just some type of head game that isn't really real? I'd love to see your comments on that. Thanks for watching, and take care.